As we begin to put this together, I'd like to introduce this concept of combinatorial explosion that came from the book Bounce. I think if you have an opportunity, you would love this book. It's like Talent is Overrated meets Outliers. In the book, they describe a very seasoned fire veteran. He's been on the force for more than 20 years. He assembles a team of very young firefighters, one of which hadn't even fought a real fire before in real circumstances. They're called in to fight a fire in Philadelphia, a private home. They break down the door, move into the living room, and start fighting the fire, which is apparently coming from the kitchen with the hose. They are able to suppress the flames and shut the hose off. As soon as they do that, however, the flames come right back. They proceed to fight the fire a bit more, and the same thing happens. Within the next minute, the fire lieutenant says to his younger crew, get out now. And they rush out of the building. Over the next minute and a half, the floor that they were standing on in the living room collapses, and many of them may have perished. They were amazed at his intuitive sense. They asked him, when he was out of the building and now safe, how did you know that? How did you make that decision? Did you have some extrasensory perception? Did you have a premonition? And he thought about it. And this is what he said. He said, number one, when I was fighting the flames in the kitchen with the water, and I took the water away, the flames came right back. What that meant to me is I wasn't fighting the origin of the fire. Two, we were standing on the living room floor, and it felt hot. It shouldn't be hot. He didn't know that the flames were coming from below them in a basement. They didn't even know there was a basement. And third, he said, I didn't hear any sound. With the raging fire, I should hear a crackling sound, and it was silent. As I put all three of them together, combinatorial explosion, I was able to make my decision. You see, combinatorial explosion requires learning. It requires intense learning at a very high level that many times requires years of experience to develop. What we're all trying to do is gain that knowledge and insight as early in our careers as possible to reduce the suffering that we all do when we make mistakes. I think as a dentist, one of our problems is the guilt we feel when anything fails, that to some degree we wonder, is it something we did? And the way I talk about it in Seattle is I feel that many dentists that come have all the same things that they feel. It's about pride in their work and feeling that they may be responsible for a failure. You know, when that patient brings in the little sandwich bag with the crown inside and shakes it in front of you and says, here's your bridge back, doc. It's very embarrassing. Maybe the patient is not terribly uncomfortable with the situation, but we all feel very badly about it, and that's why we offer redoing the dentistry for free, at cost, because to some degree, we feel partially responsible. So in Seattle, what we're trying to do is build systems of risk analysis to get patients to understand that everything we do is based on 4 different categories of risk: periodontal, biomechanical, functional, and dentofacial. There's not one thing that you're not familiar with. The difference is, what we need to do is get patients to respect us, trust the judgment, begin to realize that the experience and the education really means something. In other words, what people are really buying is your brain.